Headed into the Metro East, not seeing any issues crossing the Poplar Street Bridge now or the Musial Veterans Bridge. You are busy headed through the press section westbound on Highway 44 between the Musial Bridge and the Poplar Street Bridge. And out westbound on Highway 70, they cleared that accident at Highway 79, still an off-the-pace stretch between Mid-Rivers Mall Drive and 79, and you're off the pace as well. Westbound on Highway 64 between 364 and Wentzville, not quite stop and go. I'm Frank Lett on the MichaelSportingOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Metro Transit.
Get a Metro Transit $5 day pass from Metro St. Louis and go anywhere Metro goes, no matter how far or how long, all day long. Super chill, clean, safe, and reliable, not to mention AC and free Wi-Fi. Go to metrostl.org to get your pass today.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
That's Rush Hour Sports on a Thursday. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Then you got a little bit of a short sports open line followed by Thursday night football. So busy night here on KMOX. And obviously we're going to spend our time jumping around a little bit today. We're going to do some baseball out of the gate. Got a little college football in there, probably a little NFL. We are going to be working up a lot more Blues stuff too. Obviously the season starts soon. So Matt, we got to get our skates sharpened, buddy.
We do. That's good. And you know what? There's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. And before we go any further, Kevin, I know you're probably a happy camper today. Your Detroit Tigers advance.
They don't make anything easy, but they got this one.
They don't.
They didn't make it easy, but they got this one. And after the one of the most historic collapses ever, is kind of a relief. But I think Seattle's going to take them down. Seattle's really good.
I'm going to let you speak for every Tigers fan across the country right now. Because specifically it's Cleveland that the Tigers beat in the first round playoff, does it neutralize out every bit of pain that you felt watching the Tigers just fall apart in the final month of the season?
No, not at all. And I think every sports fan will agree, because they should have had a bye. You had a bye 2 weeks ago and you just blew it. So no, you should be rested up and ready to face somebody else right now, rather than having to burn through your guys. Because, think about it. Your ace, Tarek Skubal, pitched on Tuesday. Well, the series starts Saturday. He's not going to go till Sunday or till games 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So you're already at a disadvantage. They might end up with a bullpen game in game 1.
Does it at least feel better that
it's good to beat Cleveland, them, though, because they're the ones that eliminated you last year. So, it's a little bit better in that regard. But that's actually probably the best rivalry in the division at the moment. Between those two, they play a lot. They've gone back and forth these last couple of years, so it's a pretty good one. So in that sense, it's great.
We're already seeing some wacky stuff with pitching. You mentioned they have to go to a bullpen game yesterday. The Cubs went with Kittredge as their opener. We're seeing stuff. We're 15 minutes into the postseason, and stuff like this is already happening.
This is why I love playoff baseball. Let's start with this, because this is going to tie into our Cardinal stuff today, because I had this on there. Playoff baseball, when you're watching this just reminds you of what we're all missing. And I get completely how that fuels frustration for fans, because we're all fans, man. You're a fan, I'm a fan. We all get what that is. And watching it now makes you really you get the FOMO. You feel the fear of missing out. And the urgency with playoff baseball is so much greater. And the schedule makes it so that you can go all out, right? You got automatic off days built in. You're never going to play more than 3 days in a row. It's not like the times of year in the regular season where you're going to play 20 straight days or 24 straight days or whatever. So it becomes a lot more urgent, and it's a lot more of a sprint than a marathon.
It is. And I mean, you're locked into every single pitch, and it's everything that happens is that much more accentuated. It's so fun. The fact that the Phillies sold out their ballpark for an inner squad
How great
game,
is that?
Yeah, it's amazing. You look at these crowds in Chicago and what's going on. I think I heard the Cubs broadcasters yesterday talking about that this felt like the most electric crowds that they've had at Wrigley Field in their time. It's just, I love playoff baseball, and it needs to come back to St. Louis.
Well, that's the goal. That's why we talk about everything we do. That's why the transition to Chaim Bloom is happening, because this hasn't been the norm. And for 25 years, it was the norm. It was almost every year. So, what is it? 18 of the last 25 years, the Cardinals have been in the playoffs. That's a lot.
That sounds,
Something like that, right?
And now 3 years without it just seems like a lifetime. And we don't really know when this team is going to be a playoff team again in many ways, because they're doing the right thing, Kevin. You should try to position your team to be a team that's got a chance to be a legit contender at the highest level for an extended amount of time. But by going that route and by, ignoring the short-term stuff sometimes and to be able to do the long-term, that could result in another year or two without postseason baseball potentially. If we're talking 5-6 years without the playoffs in St. Louis, that just doesn't seem right.
Well, it's funny too, you're looking at the Cubs as an example, right? The Cubs, the last 4 years have been about the same, if not worse, than what the Cardinals have been the last 3 or 4 years until this year, right? This year they made the jump forward. They won 92 games. But the previous 4 years were 83, 83, 74, and 71. And those are the win totals. And before this series against the Padres, they hadn't won a playoff game since 2017. Not a single one since 2017. And
that's
that's
very
a
similar
team
similar to the Cardinals' 10-year run.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And that's a team with big financial resources, and they've just not figured it out. It ain't easy, but look, the Cardinals showed us how to do it. They showed us the sustainable way to do it, and they've got to get back to producing their own impact players. Repeat that. We'll repeat that throughout the course of the entire offseason. But it's crazy that the Cubs have only won now 2 playoff games since they won the World Series in 2016.
Yeah, they're up 2-0 right now in Game 3 in the 4th inning. Looks like Tyone might be out of here.
Well, they went and got Mike Schilt went and got Yu Darvish real early because they were having major problems in the 2nd inning. And so again, getting back to that point of urgency, right? In a regular season game, you're not taking your starter out there.
Right.
In a regular season game, you're going to let him go. You're going to let him go as far as he needs to go. 4 or 5 innings minimum, so you don't burn your bullpen for the sake of one game. Well, this is an elimination game. They went to Jeremiah Estrada in the 2nd inning. That guy's been a 7th, 8th, 9th inning guy for the last 2 years, and he's there in the 2nd inning. And now he's just completed 2 innings, and they're probably going to unload their pen. And they've got a great one, so they probably have the guys to try to get through the next 6 innings if they can get some runs across. But that's what I love about this. And, I'll throw this out there. If you guys want to jump in, feel free. You can throw your comments in Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. You can text 314-436-7900 if you want to be a part of the show. If you have any lingering thoughts or comments or things that we haven't gotten to in your mind yet on the Chaim Bloom transition or what you heard in the last 2 days, feel free to throw that at us. That's cool. But what I want to see, Matt, I want to see the Cardinals in the playoffs in the current structure of the game with that urgency.
Yeah.
With the, and look, this isn't that new. Taking it back to 2011, the Cardinals in 2011 were the first team to win the World Series with more innings pitched from relievers than starters. Like Tony La Russa kind of started the revolution. Even in 2011, they had that urgency. Now, again, the bullpen was a stronger point than some of the rotation at that time. Remember, Adam Wainwright missed that year with Tommy John. So, he wasn't, you didn't have your ace, but you still had other good pitching. But they knew their path was to trust the pen and the matchups. And we're seeing that left and right in these. I mean, using Detroit for an example, in 2 games in this series, they went to Kyle Finnegan, who's basically their best reliever. They went to him in the 6th inning. They're not playing around. If you're trying to win, you got to go quick and you got to go fast.
Well, you can't go lose a game in the 2nd inning or the 3rd inning or the 4th inning. Like you cannot do that. And that's why Schilt did what he did today. And that's why we're going to see you can't risk anything, especially today where we have 3 winner take all games in one single day.
I think it's the first time ever.
Awesome. Yeah, it is.
It's the first time in baseball history you've had 3 elimination games on the same day.
Yeah, it's what a great day of baseball. We still got one more to go tonight. Yeah.
All right. So who are you rooting for in this group in these playoffs? Who's got your attention? Obviously I'm a Tigers guy, so that's going to be my answer. But if not them, I'm probably going to lean towards Seattle.
Yeah, I like Seattle. I guess the 2 questions would be who am I rooting for and who's entertaining to watch. I think those could be 2 different things because like Cubs and Brewers are both very entertaining teams to watch for very different reasons, but they are incredibly entertaining to watch. The Phillies are entertaining to watch, and they're good. They're kind of my team in the National League, I think, right now. I do really like Seattle on the American League side of things. They have such a unique roster and a unique skill set of players across the board and can do things at such a high level. But those are the teams that kind of jump out at me.
Yeah, and I like Philly a lot too. I like the way that they go. My mom's side of the family is from Philly, so I always watched them when I was a kid. So it's not really an emotional thing anymore, but I like the way they play. I think Kyle Schwarber's a lot of fun. Harper's a fun player. He always has been. I like the power arms that they can line up both in the rotation and in the bullpen. They're just an entertaining team, but they're going to get a tough matchup. They're getting the Dodgers, so that'll be a big battle.
So the Phillies were World Series favorites until the Dodgers won that series against the Reds, and then the Dodgers leapfrogged back over the Phillies, and they're now the favorites, and that surprised me a little bit.
Not me, because once you get here, right? Once the Dodgers get out of the first round, they do have a lot of advantages. They've got a similar lineup in terms of power and depth and all of that, but they've got all their starting pitchers right now, and the Phillies don't have Zach Wheeler, so.
That is true.
A little bit of a tiebreaker, although the Phillies are a little better in the bullpen, so maybe that could be a difference when you get late in those games. That's Matt Pauley. I'm Kevin Wheeler. More on the Cardinals coming up next on Rush Hour Sports.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. That means we're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. One team, one goal, your home. Not moving? Now is still the time. Your home's equity is higher than ever. And with our 4.5% mortgage rate, you could save over $1,000 every month. Use your equity to pay off high-interest credit cards, lower your monthly payment, or even skip 2 months of mortgage payments. And don't forget, if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. We make the process fast and easy, often getting your cash in as little as 14 days. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today and let us put our 25 years of experience to work for you. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, join my blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here for FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and FanDuel is coming to Missouri. So on December 1st, you'll finally be able to bet on all your favorite teams in all your favorite sports. And with FanDuel, there are just a ton of ways to get in on the action. You can bet on everything from the money line to over-unders to which team's going to win it all at the end of the season. And with live betting, you can make it more immediate. You can even pick which player is going to score the next touchdown, and then the one after that, and the one after that, and so on. And I can't tell you how excited I am because I love FanDuel. I've been with them since they launched their daily fantasy games, and I've been using the FanDuel Sportsbook for years now when I've been in states that allow me to play. Well, coming December 1st, Missouri is one of those states. Now you and I, we can experience FanDuel in the comfort of our own homes. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, play your game. 21 and older and present in Missouri. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
And we're sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. If you're headed southbound on Highway 270, you're going to run into a slow pocket just approaching Dorset. Reports of an accident there. Not seeing any lane blockage, but a definite slowdown approaching that scene. Southbound on 141, an accident reported as well, approaching Highway 64. Out of the city this afternoon, stop and go now from before Kings Highway out to about Clayton Skinker. Southbound on 170 off the pace now between Delmar and Highway 64. Southbound on 270 south of that incident at Dorsey. You're going to hit the brakes again at Olive, back down to about Doherty Ferry. It's a slow stretch there, not quite stop and go. And westbound on Highway 64, you have a stop and go pocket right at 364. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call them for a free estimate today. Now offering 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. I'm Frank Ladd in the Michael'sFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
All right, Rush Hour Sports on a Thursday. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Short sports open line tonight following this show. Go about till 6:30, and then we've got Thursday night football coming your way tonight, and should be a good one.
Interesting game.
Yeah.
Rams, Niners, both teams 3-1. 49ers are banged up.
Is Purdy's back, right?
Is he?
I don't know.
I thought he was. I don't know.
I thought he passed. I'm going to Google it. I thought he was coming back, but he may not. Either way,
we're both looking it up. He didn't play last week. I know that.
No, I know. Exactly right.
No,
they did rule him out. Yep, they did rule him out. He was trying to come back, but he didn't make it back.
You tricked me, Kevin, because you know stuff like this, and I thought he was out. But I didn't want to sound like an idiot, and I should have just said no, he's out.
I saw a report a couple days ago that they were quote hopeful, but that didn't mean he was. He must not have gotten the job done.
Hope's not a strategy.
Yeah, no doubt, but a good one for sure. Big game in the NFC. Yeah. As big as it can be in week 5, but an important game for sure in that division. As you know, when you're all playing against each other, those games matter twice as much. We'll do a little college football here in a bit. I think we'll have some NFL as we go too. I wanted to throw this at you. And again, anybody that wants to chime in, feel free to do it. 436-7900 if you want to text, and you can also comment Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, however you want to do it. What would be to you an interesting outside the box strategy for the Cardinals this offseason? Or even maybe if it's not a strategy, a move or an attempt at a move. Because I got a couple ideas, but I was curious if you think that there's anything that would be outside the box that could happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but I also haven't completely said no. If there is a possibility that you can bring in a name player, an all-star caliber player, and you're going to be able to keep control on them for many years moving forward, so that way it can still be part of their long-term strategy. I think you have to look at that. I think it's something that could help in ticket sales. And I know yesterday I said you never want a president of baseball operations making decisions based on ticket sales.
Yeah.
And that is true. But you know what? It is going to impact ownership and things like that. So if Chaim Bloom goes to ownership and says, hey, we're going to need to spend a few extra bucks here, but we can get this guy and he's going to be with us for 6-7 years. So as we get back into our contending window, he's going to be right there, but it's going to take a few dollars. It'll probably excite the fan base a little bit. We should sell a few more tickets. I think that from an ownership standpoint, maybe they release a few more funds for that. So I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for.
No, that's
Kevin,
fine. Yeah.
But that's kind of, I think it's less than a 50% chance of that scenario playing out. If somebody comes available via trade, I want the Cardinals to remain open to something like that playing out.
So we've seen the reporting in the last couple of days since the Chaim Bloom press conference, and based on some of the things that were said after the press conference, that they believe they need more starting pitching, and that they will at least look at a free agent addition there. I would love to see a move on some kind of pillow deal for somebody who has had big performances in the past. I would love to see a pillow deal type thing for a guy like Walker Buehler coming off a bad year, but there's ability in there, and you get him a year further removed from arm problems. You may find yourself, maybe you try to do one of those 1 year with a mutual option or something like that, where the player gets paid a little bit, but if he has a big year, you might be able to trade him. Or if you have a good year, you keep him, right? I mean, like, you have that ability, but I would be looking for a starting pitcher along those lines. For example, I don't think there will be, but if the market's a little soft on Dylan Cease because he had a rougher year than he normally does, I don't think it will be, because he's young-ish. He's only 30. He's going to be in demand. Starting pitching always is. But if that were to be a soft market, I would jump in on that too. But I think an aggressive move on a starting pitcher that might be looking for a pillow deal, maybe a Dustin May. Dustin May's a free agent. 28, throws 98. He's not a big strikeout guy, but he's a big stuff guy, and he's not going to get a big deal because he's really been bad. Those are the kind of to me, that's what I'd be looking for. Something like that.
I would love to hear Heimblum speak openly and honestly on how you reconcile between something like that, which I'm not against, and a 1 year with a club option type thing, where you versus the idea that everything that they're doing is looking for the long term.
Yeah.
You still have to field a roster for this upcoming season. It's not
right.
like you can just ignore 2026. But how averse are they going to be to short-term contracts, even in the type of scenario that you mentioned, just because they're so focused on long-term decisions?
But there's a potential long-term upside there. You're getting stability up front, which means you're not going to expose pitchers that might not be totally ready, but you're also getting a potential trade piece, which I think is a big part. I mean, like if one of those guys, Bueller, May, whatever, if they get healthy and they figure it out, that could be a massive trade piece in July if you're not in it. And if you're in it, maybe you hang on.
And that's why you do the club option. If you're really, really in it,
There
then
you
all
go.
of a sudden you just roll it back for another year.
There you go. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. It's Rush Hour Sports. We'll have a little more baseball and some college football and maybe a little NFL for you coming up after the news. You've got a ton of equity in your home. You're sitting on a gold mine, and you could do so much with all that cash, like travel, invest it, or pay off debt, but you can't touch it unless you sell your home. But you really don't want to move. And besides, homes are sitting on the market for a long time these days. You're trapped, right? Well, not with TrueHold. With TrueHold, you can cash out your equity in as little as 30 days. And listen, you don't have to move. You can stay in the home you love as a renter. So that's TrueHold's Sell and Stay program. You cash out your entire home's value and stay put. TrueHold even covers property taxes, property insurance, and essential repairs. So imagine using that equity to travel, invest, or pay off debt and stay in your home. It's brilliant, especially in this slow market. You get an all-cash offer now by calling 1-855-300-9993. You can also visit TrueHold.com, the smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L, 544-3600.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Mizzou fans, don't miss out. Rally House Chesterfield is hosting Kevin Coleman Jr. Friday, October 3rd from 4 to 5 p.m.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Level up your fandom in-store or online at rallyhouse.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meyer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
This is Megan Lynch. 250 doctors go to Ophthalmology Associates. That's why I trust them. Ophthalmology Associates, 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
At 5:30, this news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's a partly cloudy sky, 85 downtown at the Arch. How long will the government shutdown last? Nobody knows. But what happens if it goes beyond October 15th, the deadline for taxpayers who asked for more time to file their 24 federal income tax returns?
The IRS estimates 19 million people asked for a filing extension.
Those checks or whatever it is for the income tax man.
And shutdown or not, the IRS is expecting to get your tax returns by October 15th at the latest.
A return. An income tax return.
The agency says it will have enough staff to accept your delayed returns.
Yeah, and maybe I'll file a federal income tax return.
Christopher Cruz, CBS News, Washington.
State aid to help tornado victims repair their home or find temporary housing will soon be available.
Spirit of St. Louis Clergy Task Force is announcing they are now taking applicants for this aid. However, with the tornado ripping through the city nearly 150 days ago, how much longer will residents in need have to wait? Lee Scott with Lively Church says once an application is approved, not much longer.
7 days from the time that the caseworker approves it, we're looking for that file to be closed with money in hand.
So far, the Clergy Task Force has received $50,000 to start and can request to receive more money as they give it out. There will be checks on addresses and required documentation during the application process. The website to apply is giacdc.org. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Cardinals fans remember his signature home run call, and so does Joe Buck.
I hope to see you later.
Former Cards
Congrats,
broadcaster Bob Carpenter is retired after 2 decades calling the Washington Nationals games. Saturday's game was dubbed See You Later Day.
From the entire crew, from the Nats fans, organization, we love you, Bob, and we'll see you later.
The feeling is mutual, and I just want to thank everybody watching for letting us and me into your living rooms, your dens.
Carpenter tells the Post-Dispatch it hit him when he picked his wife up at the airport. Wow, this is really happening. It's Best of Missouri Market weekend at the Botanical Garden. Jessica Edson says there are more than 150 vendors plus kids activities. New this year, the craft beer and cocktail court.
St. Louis loves its alcohol. There's a lot of breweries. There's a lot of distilleries.
Keep in mind the Brickline Greenway construction on Tower Grove Avenue where there is no parking.
We do have some satellite parking areas at Shaw and Vandeventer. I really suggest people check those out first because we have a shuttle that will take you directly from those parking lots right to the front door.
The Best of Missouri Market runs today through Sunday. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk for tonight, partly cloudy, low 68. For tomorrow, sunshine, low humidity, high 88. Saturday, Sunday, you can copy and paste that. Right now, partly cloudy, 85 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
If you need a garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of your choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
What if you had a plan to build income outside your job? At Lifestyles Unlimited, you'll learn how people are investing in real estate to grow their income and make smarter financial choices one property at a time. Right now, join us for just $297. That's a savings of $443 off our real estate education program. Text RADIO to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Ooma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Shows Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-207-4545. That's 800-207-4545. Once again, that's 800-207-4545.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, Rush Hour Sports continuing. Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. Matt's got a short sports open line going up till 6:30 tonight. And then we've got the Rams and the Niners Thursday night football on KMOX. So a lot going on for you in the sports scene here on KMOX in the evening. And, of course, we will have our normal Friday show tomorrow with you and me and Bernie, Matt. So we'll get some more college football in there, some NFL in that as well. And like I said, we'll be moving towards more Blues stuff too. We get a bunch of comments on the thread on the chat for those that are watching us on the stream, either Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We got a couple interesting questions. So we had a couple different people. Matt DLW 1904 throws the name Zach Gallen out there. I think it was Wes that threw it out there too. Would you go after Zach Gallen? Bad year, could be around during and after the rebuild, but still worth something. Add that name. I would absolutely look at if a guy like Zach Gallen is going to be willing to accept a pillow deal because he's coming off a bad year and try to rebuild value. Yes, he fits it. Like I already mentioned Dustin May and Walker Buehler, and there are others, but I think that's a great category to target since they've already said they feel like they're going to need more starting pitching, and I don't know what those markets are going to be. So just with that caveat, if you're getting them on a year or a year with an option or something like that, I'd be all over those kind of deals because it solves two things. It gives you a chance to trade for something if that's the way the season goes, but it also fills a need better than what you had already sitting in place this year.
I'd be curious how Gallen would feel about coming back to the organization.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Let's be very clear. It's a new regime.
Yeah.
And it's also, money is the most important thing when it comes to this. Money makes a lot of things feel a whole lot better. But he's been fairly vocal in the last couple of years about not loving the way things went down and how he found out that he was not going to be in the organization anymore, more so than most players who exit the organization. So not having any inside information on this, but I would just think that Gallen might think twice before walking back through that door.
Very well could be the case, but I would still explore it. It's like it's the right age range. Another guy in that same range, Mike Soroka, might be an interesting guy. 28 years old, had a mixed year. The problem is these are all risky guys. These are all guys that have come with injuries. None of them are perfect. That's not really the point.
Gallen's upside is so much better than Soroka's.
Totally
upside.
agree, and I would say the same thing for May and Buehler too. That those are guys that if they just get back to where they were, they're really valuable. And I don't think you're looking at. So we had a couple different questions on this, but I don't think you're looking at Matt, a significant contract in terms of term. Maybe it's a $15 or $16 million for a year kind of thing. And again, we're just going by a little bit what Bloom said, but also a little bit by what would make some sense. It would make some sense to grab somebody out around that age who's coming off a bad year that's trying to rebuild some value.
And if you move Sonny Gray, that's really $40 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah,
that's $40 million that you're not paying.
Yeah,
you can do a lot with less than $40 million. And I know I'm always critical of the team about the Gibson and Lynn thing. Well, what the guys we aren't talking about aren't in that age group. So it's a little bit different.
No, these are guys late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
And again, the ability to get back to being a top guy, whether it was health or command or feel or whatever. With May and Bueller, I think a lot of it is just they've been hurt so much that you don't have the feel for pitching that you used to. And the further you get away from injuries, sometimes you get those opportunities. All right, we're going to get a few more of your questions in here. Got a little football coming as well. First, though, let's get a quick check of traffic, see what's happening on this Thursday afternoon/evening commute with Captain Roger Brand.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
And we're sponsored by Sachs Financial out of the city, westbound on 64, thinning out passing Forest Park. Similar story southbound on Highway 270 between Page and Doherty Ferry. Thinning out as well, headed towards the Metro East. We do have reports of an accident in the road construction zone now, southbound on Highway 55 near Loughborough. I'm Frank Lett at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Hey, it's Jeff Sachs at Sachs Financial. Did you know that you have a pension and there are ways to maximize how you take it? That's right. It's called Social Security. Find out more at retiresafestl.com/guide. That's retiresafestl.com/guide.
Well, that wasn't Roger Brand. That's Frank Ladd. I always take off and go to the bathroom and do things during breaks. I didn't hear it. So my bad, Frank. Appreciate you doing the traffic and keeping us up to date on what's going on. On that same question, we got a few more questions popping in here, but on that same thought, Matt, what would you think about like a pillow deal type thing like that for Devin Williams?
I think he's going to get more than
that.
I
would agree. I would totally agree with you. Yeah. But if not,
he got the win yesterday. He had a nice end of the season. Now he moved into more of an 8th inning role. David Bednar's been getting most of the 9th inning opportunities for the Yankees. But I like talking in reality, and I think Williams is still going to be a sought after guy.
I would think so.
And he had a long period, he had a bad start and a bad finish to the season, and that's what people remember.
Yeah.
If you go break down what he did for basically the middle 4.5 months of the season, he was exactly who he's always been. So I think Williams is going to be fine on a long term.
I would think, or maybe he'll just, if he's not super thrilled, he'll sign like a 3 or 4 year deal with an out.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Question from Keith says, is there a right-handed bat for left field? I wouldn't specifically lock in on left field, but let's just make that outfield. Is there a right-handed bat for the outfield that you could lock up long-term and provide some sense of stability to a weak outfield? Keith, there are almost no real right-handed bats in the outfield in free agency. They're just not there. The one that would be intriguing is not going to be there. Like Luis Robert, the White Sox are going to pick that option up based on the reporting out of Chicago. The right-handed hitting outfield side is super weak, unless you're interested in a Lane Thomas. But that's not like a multi-year, long-term thing. That would just be more of a short-term right-handed bat that can play in as a platoon guy if you wanted to go that route. So that guy, I would think, Matt, would be more something you would trade for. Or comes from within. I mean, not necessarily next year, but maybe that's a Joshua Baez at some point. It might not be time for that, even though he had a good year at AA. It might not be time for that now, but that to me is more of a trade possibility.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the pieces of the puzzle for next year, because you have too many pieces for the outfield, which is already underperforming.
Yeah.
Right? If you've got too many pieces for the outfield and everybody's great, well, you figure it out.
Yeah.
But the guy in the outfield who was best this year was Alec Burleson, and he's not even really an outfielder. And he's probably likely to play a lot out there next year. He is going to play out there a lot, assuming that Wilson Contreras is back with the team. They could very easily move on from Nootbaar. We don't know what Victor Scott's status is going to be going into spring. Is he going to be somebody who's going to have to earn it, or is he going to be handed that center field job? Nathan Church had nice moments, but he didn't do anything to make you say, hey, this is going to be a guy that we can count on to be an everyday outfielder. I don't know what that looks like in the outfield. A bunch of guys, some of them probably aren't going to be here next year. Some of them would be better at other positions. And that's when Chaim Bloom is looking at the roster and trying to figure out how to make this puzzle fit together. That's one of the biggest things.
Totally agree. Space sends us a text. Hello, Space. says Helsley fell apart with the Mets. Maybe we could pick him up on a 1-year build-up deal. Maybe he finished a little better, Matt, but it was concerning enough where maybe that's possible. I don't know that for sure, but again, that idea is appealing, whether it's these specific players that we're mentioning or not. That idea of seeking out guys on pillow deals is intriguing to me.
Yeah, and you mentioned he finished better. I'm gonna run the numbers real quick because everybody stopped paying attention.
Yeah, I think it was the last 7 games he didn't give up a run.
Yeah, so his last 6 games, actually, he doesn't give up over 7 innings. 7 innings over his last 6 games. He gave up 3 hits. He had a .86 whip, a 143 average against. Wasn't striking a ton of guys out, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks in 7 innings. But he also was not pitching in high leverage spots. They removed him from high leverage, so that makes a difference as well. But I do think Helsley probably built some of his value back up in those final games.
Yeah, I think it's more that he's still throwing 100. He just needs to be tweaked because his slider's unhittable. Nobody hit the slider. His fastball command sucks, and somebody will figure out how to improve that. Like, I don't think he's going to get the massive deal that he would have if he had a great year, but I think he's going to get a multi-year deal, probably 10, 11, 12, $13 million a year.
I was reading a bunch of stuff out of New York after he got there, and everybody was saying he was not only was he tipping his pitches, he was like really tipping his pitches.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is something he was doing in St. Louis or not, but sometimes stories get a little. There's a lot more people writing about that. We have a ton of people who cover the Cardinals, but it's nothing compared to the amount of media in New York. But if you go Google like Ryan Helsley tipping pitches, you can find 9,000 articles out of New York about what he was doing.
I mean, I never thought it was that complicated. Go on Baseball Savant and look at his page. All of his fastballs are down the middle. He throws everything down the middle. He doesn't throw it up. He doesn't throw it down. He doesn't ride the bottom rail. He doesn't ride the top rail. Everything's in the center of the zone with the fastball. I don't care if you throw 100. If you throw it in the middle, guys will put a bat on it. But when you look at his slider, let's put it this way. If he's tipping pitches, they can't hit the slider even if they know it's coming.
True.
Right? So
True.
it makes me, I'm not saying it's not happening, but it makes me diminish that as a factor when he's got one pitch that nobody can hit. Because if you know what's coming, you know what's coming.
Unless that's what got fixed in those final 6 games.
Yeah, I'm just talking year long. Nobody hit the slider, period.
But if that was something the Mets were really working on and they got it kind of figured out there, that could be part of it, yeah.
All right, well, we were going to do some football. We got so many messages on the baseball side. We're just going to keep rolling with it. We'll do that next up. Rush Hour Sports here on KMOX.
It's Tom Ackerman. Football season is here. It's in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action right here in Missouri. Playing on Underdog is easy. I love playing Underdog, just choosing which players will go higher or lower on stats, rushing yards, touchdowns, etc. You get your entries right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. So much fun to play, so easy to play during football season. All you have to do is download the Underdog app. It's on your phone. It's very simple. Sign up with promo code TOM. That's important. You'll score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code TOM. Underdog. Make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. That's right. Weight loss seminar at the Marriott St. Louis West in St. Louis at 11 a.m. Registration 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Big news, Golden Oak is now your one-stop shop with Golden Oak Premier Realty and Golden Oak Lending. Buy, sell, or refinance and save thousands.
Golden Oak Lending, join my blue.
NMLS 114937.
Looking for some iced caffeine, left you in the cold. No one knows why brown water costs as much as liquid gold. Told him your name was Brian. Why does this cup say Nicole? But then you found paradise in your cup at the Quick Trip. No regrets to start your day.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we've got an incident on southbound Highway 55 at Loughborough. Looks like it's a stalled vehicle, but it was blocking the right lane. There's another driver now that has shown up with a vehicle and is pushing the car that was stalled. So that's what's causing those slowdowns now southbound on Highway 55 from Bates to Loughborough through the road construction zone. Could be a little longer than that now, but they are pushing this car out of the way with another vehicle, or maybe it's on its own now. Either way, it's moving very slow, blocking that right lane. Headed out of the city, we're thinning out westbound on 64, southbound on 170. You're on the brakes now just at Highway 64, that left lane ramping onto Highway 64. But thinned out completely southbound on 270 between Page and Doherty Ferry. You're only heavier pocket, just a little off the pace now westbound on Highway 70 at Highway A out to Wentzville. I'm Frank Ladd in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
All right, got a few more minutes on Rush Hour Sports and then Sports Open Line. Anything to tease in the first half hour there, buddy?
You know, it's going to be all Cardinals today, and I want to we've had a lot of people say, it's just going to be more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. I want to get into today on Sports Open Line how different the lineup could be next year, and also how different things could be this offseason in terms of the Cardinals actually eating some money, which seems to be something they're going to do. So that's going to be our big main topic today on Sports Open Line.
Sounds good. And then, of course, after that, we have Thursday Night Football with the Rams and the Niners with a 6:30 pregame. All right, let's get a couple more messages. Nick Jensen's got an interesting one for us. Says, Wheels and Matt, what are your feelings about Albert most likely going to be the Angels manager? I don't think Ollie deserves to be fired, but I'm bitter that Albert is going elsewhere. That's an interesting vibe because I understand Cardinals fans looking at a guy like Albert and what a big part of history he is, and you'd love to have him associated with the team again. So I get that. I think it's a fair way to feel. I get it.
Not to be snarky, and I appreciate Nick. He was in the middle of a 10-year personal services agreement with the Angels in the first place. So now if the Cardinals would have offered him the managerial job, the Angels, I'm sure, would have let him out of that 10-year deal. But and being under a personal services contract where you show up at spring training and you go work with guys, that's different than being the manager. So I realize it's not apples to apples, but there was going to, unless he moved into a managerial job with the Cardinals, there was going to be another 7 years until he was even available to do more stuff with the Cardinals. So we've seen him leave St. Louis for the Angels once before. Now, I mean, not that he's leaving St. Louis, but most recently he was playing for the Cardinals. So I don't know. I honestly let him go get some experience as a manager with the Angels. And if down the line Oliver Marmol isn't the Cardinals manager anymore and all of a sudden Pujols becomes available, then we have the conversation, but it's not really a conversation that I think is very fruitful right now.
Yeah. I don't know. This is probably the old head in me, or maybe it's just the jaded guy who's covered baseball for 30 years, but I just never assume that anybody's going to be good or bad as a manager. You just don't know until you know. And
we all thought Mike Matheny was going to be incredible as a manager.
There have been managerial hirings that I thought were ridiculous, and they turned out to be good. Not so much here because there haven't been many hirings here, but and I've seen other ones that I thought were brilliant, and they just didn't work. So I try not to assume what it's going to be, but then we also know that there's a possibility that within the next few years, Yachty might want to try that. So. Maybe, I mean, not like you're going to necessarily have the lock on that. I'm just saying you got to be careful with letting nostalgia play into what you want your manager to be. Because the names always sound great, but there aren't many guys in modern history that were this kind of player, legit inner circle Hall of Famers that became great managers.
Yeah. Off the air, we talked about this yesterday. Ryan Sandberg was somebody, he didn't even get the scholarship that Albert Pujols might get, where he gets to skip right to the big leagues to be a manager. Sandberg did everything the right way. He was managing single-A ball in the Midwest League. He was managing triple-A ball. Eventually he gets a big league job. Now, thankfully, it wasn't Chicago. So you would have hated to move on from Ryan Sandberg if you're the Chicago Cubs. But Sandberg wasn't a very good major league manager. And the other side of it is, I think when you're a former player that's played recently, you got to pick your spot to jump back in because it is a grind. And I think it takes years to be in a spot where you're ready to once again dedicate not just the time that you did, but more time, Kevin, than you did as a player.
It is more time as a manager than it is as a player. You got more meetings and you've got the media responsibilities. And I know that comes along with being a player, but it's every day for a manager. Even for a star player, it's not every day. Even for Albert, it was probably 60, 70% of games instead of 100%. All right, buddy, have a good show tonight. Enjoy the early night. Enjoy some Thursday night football and playoff baseball. That too. Don't forget that.
Yes.
All right, that's Matt Pauley. Sports Open Line coming up after the news on KMOX.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Security benefits, no problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Looking for a place to call home without all the maintenance? Check out the Towns of Linneman Park, new townhomes by Lombardo, located in St. Peters. These new construction townhomes are located on the south side of 36494, east of Harvester Road, and offer floor plans featuring 2 to 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a loft, and 2-car attached garages. Community amenities include a clubhouse, pool, pickleball courts, dog park, and walking trails. Tour our newly decorated display and fall in love with your new townhome. Visit lombardohomes.com for more information.
KMOX proudly supports the Musial Awards, returning to Stiefel Theater Saturday, November 22nd. You can be in the audience for this nationally televised event, hosted right here in St. Louis. Named for Stan the Man, the show celebrates the year's greatest moments of sportsmanship and those who embody class and character. Experience the extraordinary moments and people that make the Musial Awards an event like no other. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, MoDOT is now on the scene with this stalled vehicle that was trying to be pushed off the highway southbound on Highway 55 near Loughborough. It's further south now. I can still see it on the Loughborough camera, but you're still stop and go now between South Broadway exit, and south of Loughborough, just before the River to Pear. It's over on the right-hand side, still blocking that right lane. It's a stalled vehicle, MoDOT on the scene. Westbound on 64, we thinned out passing Forest Park. Southbound 170 continues to thin out as well. Just a little heavy ramping onto the eastbound Highway 64 ramp from southbound 170. Southbound 270 delay-free now between Page and Doherty Ferry, all the way down to Highway 55. Out westbound on Highway 64, the only heavier pocket remains right at about Prospect, making your way to Wentzville. I'm Frank Ladd in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Day 2 of the government shutdown.
Both sides are still very much dug in here.
Deadly Yom Kippur attack.
I don't really think there's any need to be violent like this. I don't really know what we've done.
slow-speed commuter jet collision.
A team of 10 NTSB investigators has been dispatched.
This is the CBS World News Roundup, late edition. I'm Peter King. The second day of the government shutdown ends with no forward movement, and the Senate headed toward another vote tomorrow on the continuing resolution already passed by the House. The Senate's top Republican, John Thune.
If we can just find a few more Democrats to join us, we can end this shutdown and get back to bipartisan appropriations work and the business of the American people.
House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Republicans have shut the government down because they don't want to provide health care to working class Americans.
And many other kinds of health decisions are at stake.
We are going to see a lot of halting as far as public health assistance.
Yolanda Jacobs is a health communications specialist with the CDC. She says funding for some local health departments will be stopped as well. And
disease surveillance is basically out the window at this point because we don't have the workers available.
And the implications, she says, are huge because when people don't have the proper guidance they need,
sometimes you make decisions that you live to regret.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
CBS News has been told that bounce back emails from furloughed education department employees include partisan political messages blaming Democrats for the shutdown. Several education workers tell us their out of office messages were changed by somebody else and that the political messages did not come from them. In Manchester, England, police say the now dead suspect in a deadly Yom Kippur synagogue attack was a UK citizen of Syrian descent. 3 more suspects are in custody. 2 people were killed, 3 hurt as these men watched.
Someone in the crowd shouted, "He's got something on him." And as I turned around, he was literally stabbing at the synagogue window door trying to get in.
They were trying to set the bomb off.
I'm Vicky Barker in London. Specialist armed police outside the Heaton Park Synagogue in Manchester, moments after gunning down the suspect in a car and stabbing rampage. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he's appalled by the attack, which came on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar.
Additional police assets are being deployed to synagogues across the country, and we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe.
King Charles has said he's deeply shocked and saddened to learn of the attack, especially on this holiest day of Yom Kippur.
Now this.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit progressive.com today.
At 6:03, we've got a partly cloudy sky. It is 83 degrees downtown at the Arch. More on the government shutdown, as you heard from CBS News. The Arch is closed. So is the old courthouse. How does that have a ripple effect on other attractions? We asked Ket Neville with Explore St. Louis.
When you come to St. Louis, you don't just go to the Arch. There are a lot of other things that you're doing. You go to City Museum, you go to the Magic House, you walk Forest Park, go to the Art Museum, the zoo. There are so many different ways to enjoy and get connected with St. Louis. If you can't go up in the Arch, I'm sure it's deeply disappointing.
Still employed federal workers are dealing with potential layoffs looming.
April Williams, a nurse with the VA, says they have been dealing with the threat of losing their job since Trump first took office. She tells KMOX this latest threat has them weighing tough decisions.
I have a daughter who's in college, and we've already had those discussions that we're looking at our expenses, and if things change, we might have to make a different decision about whether she's going to be able to continue to live on campus or not.
She says right now she is of the understanding her job is safe. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Police are asking for the public's help after a woman was killed in a chain of hit and runs on I-70 this morning. Happened about 5:30 on the westbound side near Adelaide. Police say a woman walking on the interstate was hit by a car, which took off. Several other cars also hit the woman and did not stop. Police are now searching for all of those drivers. KMOX is learning new details about the St. Charles case where a mother is accused of killing her 16-year-old son.
47-year-old Krista Roy confessed to shooting and stabbing to death her son, Carter Bennett, after she was arrested at a hospital following a suicide attempt. Court documents say she stole the gun from her ex-husband just days before. St. Charles City Police Lieutenant Daniel Gibbons.
Some neighbors and friends had called, referenced not seeing the 16-year-old since Friday. Officers were able to smell something foul coming from the house.
Carter lived with his mother and grandparents at that house on Lightfoot Drive. Grandparents were out of the country at the time. Police say crisis intervention team had been called to the same house back in February, and Roy was sent to the hospital for a psychological evaluation. She has a bond hearing Thursday, October 9th. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
St. Louis native Nikki Glazer films her next major comedy special right here at home. Glazer is set to record the show for Hulu during her 2 performances at the Fox Theater in October. She previously told KMOX's Chris and Amy,
I'm going to be at my apartment and just have to drive down the road a mile, and then I'm at the theater I'm performing at. It's pretty crazy because usually on the road, it's just I have to travel so far to get anywhere.
The hometown filming comes after a massive year for the comedian who earned attention for her part in the Tom Brady roast and for hosting the Golden Globes. The new special is set to be released sometime next year.
What else other than see you later?
Former St. Louis Cardinals broadcaster Bob Carpenter says farewell after 2 decades with the Washington Nationals. At Saturday's game, he was toasted by the likes of Joe Buck.
Congratulations to my good friend Bob Carpenter, somebody who I worked with back in the day in St. Louis, somebody my dad worked with from both of the Bucks, Jack and Joe. Congratulations, Bob. It's been an unbelievable career.
Carpenter tells the Post-Dispatch he was most nervous about throwing out the first pitch and was happy he got it to the plate. Shopping and browsing for parents, pumpkins, crafts, and a petting zoo for the kids. It's the Best of Missouri Market weekend at the Missouri Botanical Garden. Jessica Edson says this year they've moved all the adult beverages.
So we have the craft beer and cocktail court that is going to be over in the central axis right there by the Climatron. You can try a bunch of samples, try some of the new fall flavors that they have.
There are more than 150 vendors this year, but keep in mind,
Tower Grove Avenue is under construction. There's going to be a new bike lane. We're excited about that in the coming years, but right now it is presenting some limited parking options near the garden.
She recommends going directly to the satellite parking lots at Shaw and Van Eventer. Shuttles there will take people to the garden's front doors. 6:07, and let's get you to the traffic center and find out how the roads are shaping up.
Well, Michael, it remains busy southbound on Highway 55 from South Broadway, headed down to about Holly Hill. Starts to open up south of there. They got that stalled vehicle finally off the highway, so that's the good news. South of there, headed towards Highway 270, delay-free. 44 westbound out of the city, not seeing any issues all afternoon. 64 westbound, we thinned out passing the arch. A little Valiant headed eastbound on Highway 64 from about McKnight to Big Bend, and then you're heavy ramping onto eastbound Highway 64 in that left lane on southbound 170. And we continue to thin out west. The only heavier stretch now is westbound 64 from Prospect, headed out towards the merge with Highway 70. And we're sponsored by the Woodlands of Arnold Senior Living. I'm Frank Ladd of the MichaelSporingoutlet.com Traffic Center.
The Woodlands of Arnold campus offers skilled rehab, a beautiful assisted living community, and a secure memory care to keep your loved ones safe. Check us out at rspseniorliving.com. That's rspseniorliving.com.
The tropical action in the Atlantic is now out of the picture, and weather patterns will start to get moving, but it's a very, very slow process. I don't think we see much change until about the middle of next week. Partly cloudy skies on tap this evening and overnight. Evening temperatures dropping out of the 80s into the upper 70s. 68 for the low. On Friday, sunny skies, really an instant replay. 88 for the high. Friday night, clear skies, 67. We get into the first weekend of October. Saturday, sunny and 88. Clear skies, 64 Saturday night. Sunday, sunny and 88 degrees. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
We've got a partly cloudy sky. It's 83 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
On a Thursday night, here we go. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Don't have you for that long tonight. We're going to get out a little bit early tonight, a whole bunch early tonight for Thursday night football. We can all unite as St. Louis sports people and sports fans today to cheer on the San Francisco 49ers because they are in Inglewood to match up against the Rams, a battle of 2 3-1 teams. And again, our coverage from Westwood 1 is set to begin at 6:30. If you want to chime in, probably don't have time for phone calls today, but you are more than welcome to text into the program at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can also tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. And for those of you who are watching on the video stream, feel free to leave a comment in the chat and we can address those as we go along. I've just been continuing to think through kind of all things future Cardinals, all things Heim Bloom, and we got a text message yesterday, or maybe it was a video stream message. Doesn't really matter where the message came from, but we got a message yesterday, and I wasn't able to get to it, and I wanted to, but I wanted to have the time for it. And then as I've thought about it, the message was basically, hey, Pauley, you realize the Cardinals lineup is basically going to be the same next year as it was this year. And my reaction to that is I don't think it's going to be. Are there going to be some pieces that are the same next year? Of course. Like they're not changing out the entire roster. But I think we can all sit here and say the team is likely to move on from Nolan Arenado. They are going to do everything in their power to move on from Nolan Arenado. So that's one key piece that's probably not going to be in the lineup next year. And then when you look at the group of Lars Nootbaar, Alec Burleson, Brendan Donovan, and Nolan Gorman, previous reporting has indicated that the team is likely to move on from 2 of those 4. So if you're moving on from 2 of those 4 plus Arenado, that's 3 key players from this team this year that's not going to be on the team next year. And so and we heard Heim Bloom talk about there's going to be tough decisions to be made. And while he did not dive in on what those tough decisions are, I think it's pretty clear that when you're talking about tough decisions as a president of baseball operations, what you're talking about is moving on from people that fans like, that you like, that have upside, that maybe haven't reached their full potential, whatever it might be. Those are what tough decisions are. So a lot of things to me make me feel like it's not going to be the same lineup. Are there going to be pieces? Yes. Might next season feel much like the season the Cardinals just went through? I think that's actually a better than 50% chance of that happening. I have a feeling that we are going to be having very much the same conversations going into next season that we did this year, that really the ceiling for the team is going to be sneaking into the playoffs. That's what their ceiling was this year. Their ceiling was sneaking in, and there's value in that. If the Cardinals would have had the season that the Cincinnati Reds had, where it was they weren't special, they weren't great, but they took advantage of a Mets collapse, and they got into the playoffs, and they played a couple road games in the playoffs, and their season came to an end. As a Cardinals fan, knowing who this team was this year, how good would have that felt? Because I think for Reds fans, it's probably kind of a mixed bag today when they wake up. In one sense, it feels like they never even participated in the postseason because they played 2 road games that were played late at night, and now they're just done. But on the other side of things, if you're a Reds fan, you got to play out the final week of the season where every single game mattered, and you got to see your team celebrate in the clubhouse after clinching and all that. Then there's value in that. And I just miss the Reds. I just miss them. I thought they made a mistake in buying at the deadline. I didn't think they were going to be a playoff team, and I got that one wrong. I got it wrong. And this is going to sound like I'm taking a shot at the Reds. I'm not, because they did what they needed to do to get into the playoffs, and I've been over and over and over. I have congratulated them on that. But they backed in. They backed into the playoffs. They did not win a ton of games. They took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers to finish out the year, but they needed the Mets to lose because they lost the final game. Before that, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Pirates. They got swept in the month of September by the A's. This was not a dominant run by the Cincinnati Reds down the stretch. They won, and they got every win they needed. If they had one less win, they would not have gone to the postseason. They did everything that they needed to do at the bare minimum, and they got in, and credit goes to them. And I think there's a lot of value in many of those young players experiencing going through that period where every game does mean so much, because if they would have had one less win, they would not have been a postseason club. But I don't want, at the same time, we can't sit here and lift them up for the fact that they went on this amazing run. They didn't go on an amazing run, but they took advantage of the opportunity that was presented in front of them. That was the Mets just opening up the door wide open, and they were the team to walk in. Giants didn't walk in that door. Diamondbacks didn't walk in that door. Cardinals didn't walk in that door. The Reds did. So that the credit goes to the Reds. But if next season turns out to be very similar to this one, except for the fact that maybe the Cardinals are the team that sneaks into the postseason at the end and they don't have a very long playoff run, is that a good first step for this team? That's probably their ceiling next year. Barring something unexpected happening this offseason, that is probably the ceiling for the team. Now, maybe they do something. We were talking during rush hour, Kevin Wheeler and myself, about the idea of, are there some things they could do this offseason that will still have the long-term impact that Chaim Bloom is looking for that could help the team this upcoming season? I think there's a possibility of that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't know if I'm not even expecting it, but I think they're going to be open to those type of opportunities. And maybe that changes how we view the 2026 Cardinals at some point. But as it sits right now, they are likely, I think, to look very different, but they're also likely to kind of be the same type of team and be a team where sneaking into the playoffs is probably the ceiling for the club. There are some doubters out there. Oh, it's just going to be the same old Cardinals. Nothing's going to change. People heard the press conference and their takeaway was more of the same is coming. Well, you know what? There is actually going to be somewhat of a litmus test this offseason where we're going to be able to go through the next few months and start to have an idea of how different it could look moving forward. We'll discuss that coming up in just a moment here at Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
This is James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak. I am excited to announce the opening of Golden Oak Premier Realty. That means we're your one-stop shop for financing and buying your home. One team, one goal, your home. Not moving? Now is still the time. Your home's equity is higher than ever. And with our 4.5% mortgage rate, you could save over $1,000 every month. Use your equity to pay off high-interest credit cards, lower your monthly payment, or even skip 2 months of mortgage payments. And don't forget, if your loan doesn't close, we'll pay for your appraisal. We make the process fast and easy, often getting your cash in as little as 14 days. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, call Golden Oak today and let us put our 25 years of experience to work for you. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, short my blues.
5.442 APR, FHA 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit, additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Mizzou fans, don't miss out. Rally House Chesterfield is hosting Kevin Coleman Jr. Friday, October 3rd from 4 to 5 p.m.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Level up your fandom in-store or online at rallyhouse.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-384-9393. That's 800-384-9393.
It's Tom Ackerman. Football season is here. It's in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action right here in Missouri. Playing on Underdog is easy. I love playing Underdog, just choosing which players will go higher or lower on stats, rushing yards, touchdowns, etc. You get your entries right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. So much fun to play, so easy to play during football season. All you have to do is download the Underdog app. It's on your phone. It's very simple. Sign up with promo code TOM. That's important. You'll score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code TOM. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
KMOX is now on 104.1 FM, the same great station with even better sound.
Back at it on a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. We only have 5 or so minutes left for you. Our coverage of Thursday Night Football from Westwood One Sports is going to get rolling at 6:30 this evening. It is the 49ers and the Rams, so we'll have that for you, a battle of 2, 3, and 1 teams. I'll probably spend a little bit more time talking about this on tomorrow's show when we have bluntly more time, but it is something I've been thinking about here for the last couple days. And I would encourage you, Katie Wu and The Athletic had a really good story about this. And one of the things, because the print media all got to meet with Hein Bloom for an extended period of time after the podium press conference, what you heard. And one of the things that was talked about was basically the expenditures, the resource allocation from a financial standpoint that will need to move in an upward direction in a few other spots. And we're going to see the Cardinals add more individuals to the front office and to into baseball ops. We're going to see them probably add more people into player development. At some point, they will bring on a general manager once again, and that's when before Mike Gersh got moved to his role as special assistant for special projects or whatever the title was. He was the general manager when John Mozeliak was the president of baseball operations. That's how how it's structured now. A lot of people say general manager and they actually mean president of baseball operations. At some point in time, the Cardinals will either promote or hire somebody as a general manager. That might not be an expenditure, a hiring that takes place this offseason. But one thing that they did talk about is basically being able to eat more money in trades to get a better return. And that is especially impactful when it comes to the Nolan Arenado scenario and where he could be exiting. And previously, when it comes to the Cardinals organization, it felt like they were not a team that wanted to eat money. They did not want to be paying players to go play for other teams. That wasn't really in their DNA. And the words that have been spoken have indicated that could possibly change, especially if it can impact what you get back for a player. That's a way to basically buy a prospect. If you get a higher level prospect in the return because you're picking up more salary, essentially you're buying a prospect. And bluntly, the Cardinals haven't done a whole lot of that. And that would be something different. So here's what I'll say. And again, more on this tomorrow. But if you are of the belief that nothing's actually changing, that it's DeWitt ownership and everything's just going to absolutely stay the same. Well, I would encourage you to watch how this offseason plays out and really with a magnifying glass, take a look at what they do, the moves that they make. And if they eat a ton of Nolan Arenado's contract, well, that indicates that they're doing things a little bit differently. There's a bunch of other things that we'll get into more tomorrow, that if they're doing these things, that's clearly a sign that they're doing things differently, and that's probably a good sign moving forward. I would love to expound upon this right now, but we've got Thursday Night Football. It's the 49ers and the Rams. Our coverage is going to come from Westwood One Sports. It's going to begin in just a few moments, so don't go anywhere. Have a wonderful Thursday night, and we will talk to you again tomorrow right here on KMOX.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here.